a live stream tabletop RPG season of Power Rangers.
I try not to teleport Rangers as they are attempting to relieve themselves.
Adding up to 69 hours, 45 minutes of streaming content makes this mammoth of a season the first and so far only of its kind, being an official Power Rangers season from Saban Brands. It is unique, it is different.
They're role-playing!
And the question I honestly really wrestle with, is it different in a good way or is it different in a bad way? Hey, spoiler alert, if you really want to check out this season, I encourage you to go watch it without any bias from me or anything I say. Just go watch it, have fun with it. But that being said, let's dive in.
Okay.
This season is made in partnership with Saban Brands and Hyper RPG. This Twitch channel is led by couple Malika Lim, who is GMing most of the show, and Zach Eubanks, former showrunner of Geek and Sundry. I think everyone who is famous in the tabletop world has been on Geek and Sundry at some point. So Zach has some serious experience working on this stuff. Melissa Flores worked behind the scenes on the show as the Saban rep. Since then, she has worked with Boom Comics very heavily and writes some other comic book series, like including Radiant Pink, that she co-writes with Megan, who played the Pink Ranger on this season. Before I dive into my thoughts on the season, let me give you a quick overview if you don't know anything about it. This show is an extension of Power Rangers Time Force. It is set in 3017, started out at the Time Force Academy in a classroom taught by Jen Scott. We have 4 students, Marv, Eddie, Vesper, and Chloe. Chloe is skipping class, stealing some equipment, who then gets caught by Jack. Jack is a beat cop who is supposed to be a guest speaker at the class, but he is looking for any excuse to get out of it, so he sees her and he goes after her. This is when the Alliance attacks the Academy. Through a series of events, these 5 individuals find themselves together. Jen Scott goes after her team to find them. They make their way to a ship, giving them the ability to travel between time, but also through dimensions, giving this team the ability to go into any storyline they could possibly want to go into. They can go into the Boom Comics, they can go into the live action show, they can even go to the 1995 Power Ranger movie. This group eventually gets their morphers, making them the Power Rangers Hyperforce. From here, they travel to a ton of different fan favorite seasons. I'm not going to go into depth on those because I made a whole video starting out with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers all the way through, showing you every little tidbit of lore that this show has created. And so if you really want to learn about that, go to that video. This team has some really interesting dynamics, starting off with Marv, the Red Ranger, who was a former Time Force officer and partners with Jack, our Yellow Ranger. But turns out that Jack turned him in when Marv confessed that he wasn't actually a Time Force officer. He had faked all his paperwork, figured out how to get into the system because his brother Joe was a Time Force officer who went missing on a mission, and they never heard anything about it, and they couldn't figure out what happened to him. Now, Jack, the Yellow Ranger, doesn't have much early on besides the fact that he was Marv's former partner. All we really know about him is that he's sort of a beat cop, a little exhausted with his career, and he had a cyber dog named Forge. Chloe, the Pink Ranger, brings a very anime flair to this character and has a major obsession with burritos.
I was so hungry every single time we filmed because it was right at dinner time, so I would just be thinking about food the entire time. So.
And they would give us burritos.
Yeah,
so it was nice.
But when Jack finds her, she is going through the evidence room at the Academy because her parents disappeared years ago, and she thought she could find some answers with it. Eddie, the Blue Ranger, is our kind of, nerd of the group, being the Power Ranger history expert. He is from a very rich family with a rich history dating all the way back to the Mystic Knights of Loggers, in that video, by the way, or the Round Table of Camelot. He was supposed to marry Bianca Winslow, another rich family heir, but he blew it off to be in the Academy. Eddie seems to be hopelessly in love with Vesper.
What?
Vesper is our Black Ranger and a tech genius, and we come to find out that she is actually a cyborg created by Frax from Time Force. Eventually, she finds other cyborgs created by him. She and Eddie go back and forth in season 1 with their romantic connection. Ultimately, Eddie professes his love for her.
And Vesper?
Yeah.
I love you.
As the story progresses, we find Marv's brother, Joe. Joe is originally the Silver Time Force Ranger. He was undercover trying to stop a crime organization from the inside. He has been on this mission for years. Once he lost his powers, he becomes the Green Hyperforce Ranger, and he marries Nadira. They have 2 children, Joel and Mathis, and Mathis is actually brought into the Ranger Academy comics, so it's really cool to see that continue. Now, after breaking down other Power Ranger seasons, I've come to see a common list of story or character elements that are in every single season. Much like every Star Wars movie has a droid of some sort, or every song has a verse and a chorus, even though those verses and choruses are completely different, but they're still an element that they work within. Power Rangers has civilian hangout location, a command center or base, mentor and companions, ranger suits, Zord battles, henchman fights, monster du jours, a main bad guy, the comic relief, and certain ranger dynamics. Traditionally, the episode structure is very self-contained, with a conflict and resolution to each episode. Of course, there are some exceptions, at times added elements, like RPM added flashbacks as a main part of the show, and that worked really, really well. But leaving out an element is probably more risky within the context of Power Rangers. So let's see, how did Hyperforce really address these elements? Number 1, the civilian hangout location. This show dealt with time and dimension travel, so the ship is sort of the only consistent place the Rangers hang out at. But since we don't get a juice bar or a cyber cafe that's away from, the Rangers being Rangers, we don't really get to see that civilian dynamic with them very much. But time travel and going to new locations is really kind of the point of the show. So unfortunately, it's not really there, but I get it. Number 2, a command center or base, and that would be the hypership. Number 3 being the mentor and companion. The series, we have an extremely advanced robot called Alpha 55 assisting the Rangers. The mentor of the season is technically Jen Scott from Time Force, which is cool. Aaron Cahill was in the very first episode, did a few pre-recorded messages and things that they played throughout the series. But overall, they don't really talk to Jen Scott almost ever. And the lack of a mentor is definitely different. Now, there are some seasons of Power Rangers, like In Space, that really don't have a mentor. It can work without, but in this case, I think they could have really used a mentor to kind of help guide the story a little bit better without that feeling too railroaded. Number 4 and 5, we do have suits. They were actually designed by Peter, who's the Red Ranger, who also played Preston in Ninja Steel. And we have Zords, so that is good. We have that element, and that's pretty solid, although it's not really consistent in every episode that they use their Zords, so you kind of miss that a little bit. Number 6 and 7, we have our henchmen and our monster du jour. Putties are the henchmen of the series, the traditional putty from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And we also have a few monster du jours. Now, I used to call them, of course, monsters of the week. I think a lot of people do. But I did an interview with Campbell Cooley, one of the longest running voice actors of Power Rangers, and I learned that the production team actually calls them monster du jours. I just thought that's really cool. I have an interview with him on my channel. I really strongly encourage you to check it out. It's one of my favorite videos I've actually ever made. And so I think you should check it out. Number 8 is the main bad guy. Now we have Scorpina, who is a general. We have Volcanos is another, but the leaders of this group aren't revealed till the finale, which is 64 hours into the series. Now, villains are very, very iconic to Power Rangers. Rita and Zed, Astronomo, Lothor, Mesogog. I mean, heck, Ivan Ooze was in one movie, and it's like that's kind of one of the biggest bad guys people ever talk about. These are huge parts of the show, and I truly understand the desire to have this mystery and have a big grand reveal at the finale. But the reveal of Thrax being one of the leaders in episode 24 was cool, but I also was kind of annoyed they didn't do it in like episode 3. He could have been so dynamic and interesting, being the son of Rita and Zed, and Thrax has so much they could dive into. Struggling with his parents turning good, he could have manipulated Chloe, who, her dad turns evil, and said, "I know how it feels to learn your parents are a disappointment." So like I just said, Chloe's dad is revealed at the very, very end that he is the leader of this alliance. And a dynamic of this parent who knows every solitary insecurity about one of the Rangers, that could have been really epic and interesting. And the typical story arc for villains is that they try to pick the Rangers apart, observing them, using their fears against them. But this season, the Rangers just chase the ambiguous villain, and we don't know who the team is fighting until 64 hours into the show. Now, number 9, the comic relief. Truly, the ladies of this group held that together. Megan, who played Chloe, brought so much humor to her role, and she just nailed it.
If you could get me something to eat or drink.
Yeah, up here. Servant, just a sec. I'll be right back. Just take a seat. I swear to God.
Bottom of this.
Please, is this gonna affect my scholarship?
You're on a scholarship?
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't go to the dean. Maybe we should talk this out. Do you like coffee? Don't.
Listen.
Christina V, who played Vesper, became the anti-Bard. She has very little charisma, being this sort of cyborg robot, but she plays as if she is like the most charismatic person, singing songs that are awkward most of the time and just like not understanding certain situations, but just acting as if everybody, you all love me. Come with me. I just love it. Honestly, Vesper really stole the show for me. I think probably the best character of the whole entire season.
Do you wanna help me out with a secret plan?
I guess. What's the plan?
All right, Sentinel Knight doesn't want me to touch the Corona Aurora.
Oh gosh. Why do you want to smash the Corona Aurora?
Because I was denied it, and now I'm curious. Eddie and Vesper.
Oh my god.
Vesper and
Would
Eddie.
this be considered
Ranger Buds forever.
Power away so it doesn't get caught by anyone else.
Okay,
Putting
fine.
it out there.
Well then, how about we go find Chloe?
Yeah, we can do that.
She'll want to help me.
Oh gosh.
Sentinel Knight, Eddie would like to know if you would let me touch the Corona Aurora.
What do you want to happen?
Battleizer.
The fandom loves to talk about a more gritty Power Rangers, but Power Rangers has always had a very strong sense of comedy since Paul Schreier and Jason Narvi in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And even there are some seasons like Lightspeed Rescue where Joel and Chad are sort of a comic relief at times, even though they're Rangers. Going back to the clips of this show I've saved, there are some really good funny moments. So now we've come to the final team dynamics. People tend to base a lot of their opinion on a season off of the Red Ranger. Marv is not the traditional Red Ranger.
I remember, especially you, like the journey of what it means to be the Red Ranger.
Oh my
was, like, I know it
gosh.
was frustrating sometimes
was-
for you because I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know what that means.
It's
I'm like,
scary.
you have to figure it out,
Dude,
Yeah.
like I mean, to be a leader, nobody gives you a real format on how to be a leader. Nobody gives you a format on how to be a hero.
He struggles, wanting everyone else to give their input, basically not wanting to take control. And when he finally does, his team doesn't really listen to him.
We gotta put Alpha somewhere. Okay.
Strap on!
Yeah. I take Alpha. I'm willing to volunteer. Maybe you guys can go down and deal with the people while I stay here with the ship.
No way, Marv. We are a team. We go together or not at all.
Nothing's working. We can't just jump into our Zords.
I don't know,
With the
Marv. Why
Zords
can't we?
plugged in.
All right, let's try it.
They all argue or tell him why they can't do what he says. Now, does this mean automatically Marv is a terrible character? No, it's the audience's decision whether they like his story or not. But compared to the OG Jason or Carter from Lightspeed, Marv is the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Oh, okay.
For fans who absolutely despise Nick from Mystic Force or Mac from Operation Overdrive for just having like a moment of thinking about quitting, Marv would fall very, very short by those people's standards. But towards the end, Marv wants to become a good leader. You know, he asks Sentinel Knight to train him. He stands up to Lord Draken. I think that's honestly a really great moment that just didn't really get played up as much as it should have, but he stood up to Lord Draken. And in the finale, he tries to take charge, but Chloe refuses to follow orders, and most of the team doesn't really listen to him. You can tell that Peter was intending to really build this character in season 2.
I will say, we really truly thought we were going to get a second season. It was just bad timing. We were told that we can get a second season. If we had not known that, we wouldn't have ended it on a cliffhanger. But it was just bad timing. We got bought by Hasbro right when the renewal happened, and it just changed the things.
But without that season 2, it leaves Marv without that really, really great story arc, which is just really unfortunate. So in review, didn't really have a civilian hangout. They didn't really have a mentor. They didn't have memorable bad guys, and not a natural leader as a Red Ranger. Now you may be thinking, obviously this guy thinks it's a bad season.
Is this real? Is this real?
But there is one major factor that this show has that no other season of Power Rangers has, which makes it different. If you're watching this live in the chat room, talking with fellow fans, you can donate money to charities, which adds points to rolls and damage. You're a part of the team. Everyone I have talked to have watched it live absolutely had an amazing experience. They have a very strong love for the season, especially being involved in moments like this.
Super exciting, and I wanted you guys all to know to honor and celebrate Shattered Grid.
next week, Hyperforce is going to the Shattered Grid. But there's more. The WonderCon exclusive. There will be a Go-Go Power Rangers variant for issue number 8 that features the Hyperforce gas. What? Hyperforce. That's only you can only get it at WonderCon.
On the cover.
On the cover.
Wait,
what? On the cover.
We're gonna be on the comic book, guys.
It was very exciting at the time. When you were watching it like I did years later, I can't be in the chat room. I can't be talking to people, keeping busy. I already know that Hyperforce was in the comics, variation covers, characters coming to Legacy Wars. I can appreciate what that experience was like, but it's not nearly as exciting for me as it was for them. So how much do you factor in that difference in experience when looking at the show now? So as I'm approaching my final thoughts of this season of Power Rangers, as a tabletop RPG fan, there are things I wish were approached very differently. I can tell that Hyper RPG has a specific style of GMing.
Their name, I think, was Power Rangers Superfan or something like that in the chat, and they said, "This GM," meaning me, "is so mean."
That's the way you're supposed to be.
I'm like, it's a horror show.
In the last video, I went into detail about my frustrations with the NPCs. The NPCs are just generally very rude, difficult to work with, or they just don't give information.
And you hear again, tick, tick, tick. Hey, anybody in there? Hello?
Who is that? Who is this? Who is speaking?
It doesn't matter. Is there somebody in there? How many of you are in there?
Honestly, I did get to a point where I just got super frustrated because the game was so slow. And then the actors really started getting in and asking good questions.
I believe some mysteries are best untold.
After watching the whole season, I watched the fireside chats. These were live streams they did after the episodes. The more that I saw they poured into the show, the Easter eggs for fans, working really hard, I do really respect that. And sadly, Twitch pulled down, I think, a lot of just old live streams kind of out of nowhere. And I only had like 1 or 2 left, and then all of a sudden they were all gone. I don't know if maybe they'll ever come back or not, but I do appreciate what the show did to open the door for other possibilities. I'd love to see more shows like this, but in a general statement, I think it missed a bit of the lovable nature that is Power Rangers.
I don't see anymore, so I must be smarter than you, and I deduce this faster than you. So, basically, it's not there.
I see a lot of comments from like their fans, the Hyper RPG fans. They really, really love their style of playing an RPG. I just don't think it fit Power Rangers as well as it could have. I think they played the game the way they play a game, and they should have taken a little deeper look at like what really makes it a Power Rangers show. Didn't really adapt to that side of things. They just kind of kept it very strictly tabletop RPG style, the way they'd always do it. Because traditionally Power Ranger episodes focus on one or a pair of Rangers, them overcoming something or showing something from their backstory. This is a different format, and with that comes a lot of fluff. Like the training simulator, it's maybe 30 minutes of the show, and there's nothing that really has anything to do with the storyline. It's just like, we're just going to go in the training area, fight a monster that isn't real, and then, okay, now we're going to go into the rest of the show. And the show really didn't uncover a whole lot about the characters till episode 10. That's when we learn about Jack's dog, Eddie's intended marriage, Marv tells the team about his past, Chloe dealing with her deceased mother. It's strange to get everyone's backstory kind of at once. And besides that just not being like traditional Power Rangers, I think the real issue is that the story arcs can be really disconnected from the actual game. Here's my biggest example. Once they go back to the future, Eddie has lunch with Bianca. They say, "Glad you're happy. All right, let's be friends." And that's it.
Boring.
Okay, so hear me out on this. This was on paper, giving him character development. But this happened, and then he just went back to the team, and like, you could cut that out, and literally nothing has changed in the whole entire show. What if the Alliance captures Bianca? Eddie has to save her, and it reminds Eddie just how close they were as kids. Now Bianca's head over heels for Eddie, and he kind of feels like, did I make a mistake? Should I have walked away from her? And then Vesper, seeing how heroic Eddie is, realizes, oh my gosh, I think I really do love him. That could connect Eddie's backstory into the actual game and actually maybe be drawn out into his character for multiple episodes instead of it being 10 minutes of this season out of like 4,000. I think they just focused a lot on the wrong things. Like in the RPM universe.
Who is he?
He's a friend that we met.
Who are you?
What's your name?
What's your name?
My name's M.
My name's Jem. Whoa.
Really?
Nice. Yeah? Were you in alphabet soup?
How do you know about that?
Because everyone named there besides me and my sister had like a letter for their name.
I never thought about it that way.
K.
I thought maybe
M.
it was like short for something.
Could be. Money.
Now that I think of it, I've never really had a last name.
All right, I'm so sorry. I do really want to talk to you about this, but we're really crunched on time.
But they never talk about it. So there's all this time wasted of them being like, what is a Corin? Instead of getting to the interesting lore. And that is by far my favorite episode of the whole entire show.
You're welcome, my friend.
This is the craziest episode ever.
So you're gonna have to roll to
Mike Jin, who played Jim in RPM, is the guest. He is hilarious. If I ever go back to watch an episode, it will be episode 7. Having time travel, bringing back veterans, it's a lot to pull off. Honestly, when I look through the clips, I really genuinely, wow, that was a fun moment. That was a good moment. I'm also just looking at the highlights, and I think an edited version for YouTube, watching it live, that's probably the best way to watch it, is to be involved in it. I really hate being negative because it makes me feel... Okay, I'm gonna be honest, man. I usually have all my points written out, and right at this moment, I don't have anything. To be quite honest with you, this is the one season of Power Rangers I was super frustrated watching. This was like a very new concept, and it was getting somewhere. If they had had season 2, I think it could have really maybe done something really awesome. I just think that there was a lot of focus on like, oh, a veteran ranger, oh, we're in a new time period, or we're in a new place or dimension. And we just spent a lot of time doing that instead of focusing on the characters, like our main characters. So they should be the heart of the show. And I feel like there's just too much, smoke and mirrors going on without just like really letting these characters be great. And I feel like for the value of watching almost 70 hours, not a lot happened. I spent like half a year watching this show, watching the Fireside Chat, when I probably could have done like 3 other seasons of Power Rangers, in that amount of time. I'm really glad I watched it because as a fan, I kind of wanted to finally see it. I just think if they had edited it for, the audience who isn't able to watch it live, would have been a whole different story. I think it would have been a lot more fun to watch. I'm sorry. I don't know how I'm ending this. I don't. I guess I should